Good day, my listeners. Welcome to my Attraction Shooter Foundational Guide. Yes, you heard me right. This is not a guide focused on a specific attraction shooter. This is for those either looking to brush up on the basics, hopefully filling in some gaps you may have in your knowledge, or for those that have never even touched the genre, with the goal of hopefully giving you the strongest start possible. And this guide was inspired by all of you. In my last video, which got a crazy amount of support by the way, thank y'all, I was kind of shocked to see how many of you talked about either dropping this genre because you couldn't find stable footing to actually learn how these games work, or you were deterred by playing in the first place because of the community. So much of you even mentioned that you had the actual game itself, but never booted it up because of the community. And after doing some light research, I honestly wasn't too surprised to find that no one had really made a guide with the intention of introducing newcomers to the attraction shooter genre. I say not surprised because I think we're at a point now where people assume with the amount of attraction shooters out nowadays, everyone knows how to play. But as I say, every game has a chance to be someone's first, and that was the mindset I made this guide with. So I'm gonna be honest here. This guide won't be for everyone. The title was not clickbait. When I say we're talking about foundational knowledge, I'm talking we all have to start somewhere. So even if you have passing knowledge, a lot of this is going to seem borderline obvious to you. And if you're like me and have played these games for 12 plus years, there's nothing new for you here. But before you leave, I humbly ask you to watch this video and either help strengthen, add to, or even critique the advice I give here. Because I believe it's a shame that someone who wanted to try out this genre may never do so because someone didn't take the time to try and help get them started. So with all that behind us, let's talk about how this video is set up. I'm going to be following the steps of somebody buying their first attraction shooter, and the main game we'll be using for this example is Arc Raiders, mostly because that's the game I feel most of you will have a passing familiarity with, but we will have some guest appearances here and there, best believe. We're going to get started at the Steam page itself, and end at the first time you do, or don't, extract. I'm going to throw in some mindsets I feel will motivate you to keep failing and learning, how to avoid the toxicity that just comes with the territory in these games, and strategies to hopefully give you the best chance of getting out. And it'll all be said in a fashion that if you've seen my last video, you know I'm going to be talking. Really, the hope is to make a guide that I needed those 13 years ago when I first loaded into the Daisy standalone mod on the beaches having no idea where to even begin. Yeah, I'm talking back when they had hero and bandit skins. And even now, I still remember what it was like to be completely clueless and the growing pains that came with it. Make no mistake, you will still have those pains even with this guide, but maybe I can soften the blow a little bit. So sit back, relax, and let me guide you as I've guided others. And so we begin on the Steam page. Now of course, you don't need advice on how to hit the buy button, but what are you naturally going to do before you buy a game? You're going to do research, you're going to read reviews, scroll through some comment sections, and God forbid, look through some forums. And there, as many of you have told me, you'll run into your first hurdle that'll make you not want to play these games: the communities that surround them. Now I'm going to be real with you, there really is no way to avoid this hurdle, especially if you're looking to interact with the people in these games. Some people play nice, some people talk smack. Sometimes you'll take those people who talk smack out, and other times you'll be taken out by them. It's part of the game. But there are two things I want to remind you of, and for you to keep in mind if you're worried about this aspect of the genre. One, you are and will remain the master of how you conduct yourself in raid. You never have to interact with people who give you bad vibes. Just understand that you'll have to find ways to deal with how some will react to your actions or inaction. And two, honestly, the people that you have negative interactions with will more than likely forget you by next raid. And if you learn to take each good or bad interaction as a lesson, you will always be able to take something of value no matter the outcome, especially when you later manage to use what you've learned to success. If there's anything you take from this guide, let it be that the key to starting and later being successful in this genre is a resilient mindset paired with the patience to fail and learn. If you break down each time you inevitably fail and never give yourself the patience you deserve when learning something new, you'll give up on this genre guaranteed. But in the same breath, don't feel bad if you find these games are just not to your taste. What people forget all too often is we're supposed to be having fun here, and there are plenty of attraction experiences that have no player interactions if that's truly the only thing holding you back. And between me and you, they can be some of the sickest games out there, and if that's the route you end up going down, don't worry, I made this guide with you in mind too. So assuming you've bought your preferred attraction experience, firstly allow me to congratulate you. I know it may seem weird to do so, but I view these games as some of the best opportunities one could have to safely fail and learn, both on the sticks or keys and as a person. Call me cheesy, but to me, for you to spend your hard-earned money on an experience that is meant to beat you down with your reward being learning and adapting, that's worth some praise. So, without further ado, let's get to the game itself. Now, I'm almost going to guarantee that in your selected game, there is a trader tab or hub of some sort, and it's usually here that the people will have quests that you need to complete for either general progression, rewards, or both. If you're lucky, the first few quests will be some type of tutorial, but this isn't always the case. Now later on, when you get more experience, you can kind of start to freeball a little bit and make your own goals, but as a beginner, I highly recommend you base everything around the quests that you're given to give your raid some kind of structure. The first rule I learned about attraction games is that you never wander. Always go into your raids with a purpose. The purpose can be just to chase gunshots and go PvP, but if you ever find yourself asking, what am I doing here? It's time to leave. Think about it this way. Most people go into a raid with a goal in mind and a path that they're going to use to complete that goal. That path is going to be based around what puts other people at the greatest disadvantage. So if you wander around the map, you might accidentally find yourself in one of these kill zones that another player set up before they even got into the game. Now with no experience, you're going to find yourself in these kill zones eventually, even if you make a path beforehand. But by tracking where you're going and where you fail and succeed in those paths, you'll eventually build a mental map of the most dangerous places and how to avoid them or take advantage of them. Now the quest we're going to be using for this example is Off the Radar. I chose this quest specifically because it's the only one that actually punishes you for dying before completing all objectives. If you die, it wipes the progress you've made, but to complete them, you have to be in an open area, so it's risky. It's not the most extreme quest because you can die after completing everything and still be good, but later on, some quests will require you to finish everything in one raid and then extract on top of it. But this is a good start and it's closer to the beginning of the game. Now this quest requires you to find a field depot, climb on top of it, and repair the antenna in one raid. So now that we got our quest and we know what we're doing, the natural follow-up question is, where do we go though? Now I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and use a third-party website that has a map to find your objectives in these games. I know some of you might want to have the experience of exploring the map and finding these things yourself, but I guarantee you 99 to 99.99% of this community in these games use maps to find where to go, and nothing will exhaust you faster than trying to find something and getting taken out multiple times in the attempt. It also helps you with our rule of never wandering aimlessly. But there's a problem we have to address when making a path with these maps, especially in multiplayer attraction games specifically, and that's you can't control where you're going to spawn. So you can make your plan, but if you spawn on the other side of the map, your plans may just go out the window. To handle this, I want you to put a plus in the middle of the map, cutting it into 4 quarters. And the rule here is, depending on what quarter you spawn in, that's going to be the quarter that you base your game around. Now for objectives that have multiple places where they can be completed, you can make a path based on which one of these you spawn in. As for quests that only have a single objective, you can use these quarters to ask yourself, if I spawn here, is it worth pursuing that goal, or should I do something secondary, leave the raid, and try again? The hope here is to keep your raid short and concise, but effective, all the while making you make decisions that help you work on your adaptability in raid, and you're going to have to adapt based on things you can't control. Now the other thing we need to keep in mind when planning your raids is the time you might spawn into them. What I mean is you might spawn into a raid, say 10 minutes late, and other people have already had time to loot, set traps, find camping spots, etc, etc. So you might have to do some extra work to ensure that a place is safe before you start working in it. The rule is this: if you spawn in at the beginning of the match, people probably spawn next to you, so you need to make sure you don't run into them while running into the map. If you spawn later into the game, people are probably already at the objective you're going for, so you need to look out for them when moving to it. So with all that in mind, let me show you how I would plan to get this mission done. But before we do so, we need to get our loadout, either by buying one or making one depending on your game. And this loadout should be based around 1, what you're most comfortable with, and 2, what would be most effective for what you're going against. Now I can't tell you anything about 1 obviously, since that's personal preference, but I can give you a little advice for 2. From the map, we know that this mission objective is outside. We can see a lot of green and brown, so we know most of the map itself takes place in large open spaces with a few trees here and there. Once again, using Arc Raiders as our example, I'm going to emulate someone that's brand new in this game, so I'm only going to be using things from the level 1 workbench. So with this, we have 4 options. We have the Stitcher, Hairpin, Kettle, and Pharaoh. And while in this game, these weapons have their nuances, they generally fit into the roles of SMG, pistol, rifle, and sniper, respectively. So I have a question for you. If you were walking into an area that was mostly open with a few trees here and there, which one of these weapons would you rather have? It's okay if you don't know. While some of you might scoff at the idea of that, every game is someone's first. And whether you know the answer to that question or not, if your game has a firing range that you can use, take the weapons available to you and give them a try first, if not to get familiar with the guns, to at least fine-tune your settings. Now as for my question, my answer would be rifles or snipers. If you're someone who's starting out in these type of games, I'd recommend rifles since they're typically more forgiving. But if you're someone who has a little bit more experience with shooters and you trust your shots, I would recommend the sniper for this situation, and that's what I went with. As for the rest of your loadout resource-wise, it can be built around these 2 questions. What do you think you'll need, and what are you willing to lose? You're going to need heals, for example, whether they come in the form of bandages, shield rechargers, or painkillers. But how many are you going to bring? Because anything you bring in, of course, is always at risk of being lost. It's here where you'll start the mini game of figuring out how much to bring so you don't run dry during raid, while balancing out not bringing out too much so if you were to die you wouldn't be wasting resources. I'm going to be honest here. It's hard to tell you how much you should bring because comparing the surgery you have to do in Tarkov to heal compared to the 3 bandages and shield recharger you would need to do the same in Arc Raiders is like comparing night and day. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you were dropped to 1 HP 2 times, what would you need to bring yourself back? That would be the amount of heals I would bring. As for other utility like grenades and whatnot, once again you have to ask yourself, if you were to actively get into a fight right now with your knowledge and experience, how often would you actually remember to use them? If you're someone who has a history of using your utility all the time in your past shooter experiences, bring 1 or 2. But if you're someone who basically never uses grenades, don't bring any. You didn't use them then, you're not going to use them now. Don't worry though, you'll have time to integrate them into your playstyle later, but when you're first learning, this isn't the time or place. Now, armor deserves its own section. I'm going to put a warning on screen and I'm going to say it verbally. I'm going to dive a little bit into this topic, but that's because armor changes so drastically between games, and if you don't understand their nuances, sometimes you may not be able to deal any damage to somebody because you don't understand how your bullets react to the armor somebody else is wearing. In Arc Raiders, armor is pretty simple. Generalizing, they give you anywhere between 40 to 50% damage resistance against shots you would take at the cost of some of your movement speed. They protect you head to toe, and when the shield breaks you lose the damage reduction, and any further shots would deal full damage to your health. Now in Tarkov. Oh, I'm really about to do this. Okay. Every bullet has a penetration value. This value is put up against the armor plates that you wear. They're rated at various levels of protection and made of various materials. If the pen value of the bullet is higher than what your plates can stop, the bullet goes straight through. If it's lower, the plates stop the bullet and take damage. The material of the plate determines how many bullets it can stop. If it's ceramic, the plate will break quickly and let bullets through sooner, but it's lightweight. If it's steel, the plate will be much heavier, but will take more bullets before it breaks. As I said, this is super generalizing this, but now all of a sudden, to put on proper armor and take off, you have to take into account the bullets players are more than likely using, the bullets the AI are using, and compare them to the level of plates available to you, assuming your character is even capable of carrying the weight of that protection. Not to mention, the armor in Tarkov protects what it would realistically protect on your body, so you can put on all this armor and not put on ballistic glasses and get insta-killed because someone shot you in the eyes, hence the infamous head eyes meme from when scavs used to snipe people from 60 meters out with a shotgun. Now, was all that necessary for a foundational guide on how to play attraction shooters? No, not really. But I hope by explaining these things deeper, you understand that you're going to have to do your own research on how armor works in your specific game, because even if you choose not to use it at times, other people will, and if you don't understand it, you won't be able to beat them consistently. Now, the last thing I want to bring to your attention is something that nearly all attraction shooters share, and that is you'll more than likely have access to a safe slot. Sometimes this is affected by the backpack you wear, other times it'll always remain one, and other times it could be upgraded by either spending real money or by doing quests. No matter the form it appears in, they all do the same thing. If you put something in this inventory slot, then die in raid, the item stays with you. Some people absolutely despise this mechanic. I don't care. As a new player, use it, use it, use it. It's basically the only way to guarantee progression in your raids, no matter the outcome. Typically, there are some restrictions on what can go in these slots, but they're usually limited to guns and armor, so you could put medical items in this, spare ammo, rare items, materials, and so on. Basically, the rarest or the most needed items you find in your raids should go into the slot. So with all that being said, we're ready to go into our first raid. But before we do, let's recap a little bit. We know our goal, and we made plans on what paths to use to reach that goal. We made our loadout to the best of our ability, using the weapons that we're most comfortable with and what would help us most in the environment we're stepping into. We brought the utilities that were necessary and the ones we know that would help us in an engagement. We did our research and looked over the armor that is in our game and how to best use it to protect ourselves while beating others. And we know the power of the safe pocket and how to guarantee progress no matter what happens. So let's go make some mistakes. So spawning in. I already hear gunshots to my left, so I'm going to use this bush as concealment and I'm going to go to the map to gain my bearings. Using our strategy of splitting the map into 4, we can see I spawned on the bottom left hand corner. Now this would have been lucky seeing how there's a field depot at the swamp outpost, but as you can see I'm opting to go to the one at the water tower. I'm doing this because I know my objective is going to require me to be exposed for a time, and the last thing I want to do is be exposed in an area where there may be people, or maybe people coming to investigate those noises and think that I'm the one who shot. The thing I want you to keep in mind with these games is that no one is obligated to be friendly with you, or have a conversation with you, or anything. And while I personally don't go around shooting everybody that I see, I also don't go inviting these type of social interactions due to the risks inherent with them. While communication skills are important and even useful in these type of games, I think it's much more important as somebody that's a little newer to work on your fundamentals and your situational awareness first. Now these are skills that you'll gain as you play these games more, but let me give you an example of where they may actually apply. Some people will use conversation as a way to get you to expose yourself. As you play these games more, you'll understand that people can hear you just fine through a wall as if you were face to face with that person. You never have to be in front of another player who isn't part of your team in order to talk to them. So on our way to this objective, you may have noticed that I'm following the outskirts of the map. How people naturally move in these games is when they spawn, they're going to migrate to the center of the map since that's where most of the loot density is. Since our goal on this raid isn't to get loot, it's to complete objectives, by following the outskirts, it doesn't guarantee we won't run into anyone, but it does limit the amount of interactions that are possible. Now before I go in and actually try and complete my objective, you're going to notice me circle the perimeter a little bit. This is me doing my due diligence to scout to see if anybody is currently looting the area. Now how you do this is going to change based on where the objective is and what needs to get done, but for here I have the luxury of using my weapon to its best advantage, which is at distance and staying a ways away. And this time, the scouting pays off as I catch the last glimpse of somebody leaving the POI. This tells me a few things. 1, this area is probably looted. And 2, any threats that were here were either taken out, if there were any, by that other player. Now, one thing I want you to understand is no matter how confident me or anybody else that talks about these games sound, everybody is always working off of their best guesses. And people don't really give credit to how much luck plays a role in these type of games. What I mean is at this point, I felt like I've done everything I could realistically do to scout out this location and make sure it's safe for me. But the moment that I chose to slide down this hill, somebody could have came up from the hill behind me from a direction that I couldn't have realistically scouted and shot me in the back. That is how luck plays a role in these games. So now that I've made it to my objective, this is where the first part of the mission would have completed. Now I have to do the second part. For you, this part will only take about 5 to 10 seconds, but it's going to feel like an eternity. So I sat here for 20. Enjoy the anxiety. So now, we have a decision to make. Technically, we're done here. The objective is finished, we can go home, get our quest rewards, and get ready for the next mission. Or, we can stick around and loot for a little bit. Now, I made the decision to loot. This is because 1, nothing has happened to make me think this place isn't safe anymore, and 2, the last person was here missed this raider cache, which is known to have better loot, making me doubt how well he actually went through this place. And this time, it paid off. Understand, you're never guaranteed to get paid back for the risk you take, but if you don't take some from time to time, who knows what you'll miss. This is also why I recommend not sacrificing your save slot for a free loadout, for example. I know it may be tempting to get free stuff for a run and alleviate that stress of losing items, but if you find something valuable during your raid and you don't have somewhere safe to put it, I guarantee you your heart rate is going to spike. I know some of the more elitist members of the community may not like the idea of safe pockets because it breaks immersion, but as a new player, screw what they think. If the mechanic is there and it's not a cheat or exploit of any kind, use it. Now at this point, I'm realizing that the player that came before me may not have known where some of the more secret spots to loot were, but he definitely knew where the general loot was and was thorough in looting it. So at this point, I'm going to make the decision to disengage and start trying to find a way home. Learning when it's time to do things like cut your losses and leave before somebody else stumbles on the place that you're looting is once again a skill that you'll grow over time. Now, different attraction shooters have different rules when it comes to attraction. Sometimes you can use an attraction that'll get you out of the map immediately, other times they'll expire as the game goes on, or they'll have different requirements that you need to fulfill in order to leave. At this stage of the game, you'll more than likely not have the ability to use the fan tier attractions. In this case, I would need a hatch key in order to leave instantly. So that leaves me with 2 options. I can use the attraction that either has 5 minutes left, or the one that has 20. While I'm looting, I'm actively thinking about this decision right now. And for me, I would rather use the 20-minute one, because if somebody's rushing to the 5-minute one last minute, that means they're in a more desperate mindset and might be willing to shoot me over leaving. As with anything, making calls like that are going to come down to your time and experience in these games. So once again, don't feel pressured to have all this figured out the first time you drop in. But the best way I've found to make those decisions is imagine how somebody feels in my position right now. I just got a purple item and I have nowhere safe to keep it, and now I really want to leave. How do you think somebody in my shoes would react to running into somebody at attraction right now? At this point of the raid, I've done everything that I want to do and more. I have a full bag of loot and I've completed all objectives. So now it's really time to get home. And thus begins the next hurdle of this journey, which is actually going into the map in order to go home. You can't run on the outskirts forever, unfortunately. And here comes the next fact about these games. Eventually, you're going to have to expose yourself. You'll eventually find yourself in an area that has no cover, there are no bushes for you to use for concealment, and when you find yourself in these areas, the only advice I can give you is just to keep moving. You don't want to stay still, you don't want to move slowly. You need to get to the next area that's going to give you cover, hence is why here I sprinted the entire time until I got to these rocks. Don't ever leave yourself in the open, and if you have to, don't be an easy target. Also notice here I'm trying my best to keep myself inside of some type of dip. Even if here my entire left side is exposed, at least I know somebody has to come up and over and silhouette themselves to shoot me from the right. Try and put yourself in just the best possible position you can while moving. That's all you can do. So I'm going to use this last little segment of this raid to talk about something that kind of has the community on fire right now, which is attraction campers. I'm going to be honest with you. You are always going to be at a disadvantage against attraction campers. Unless you get lucky and come up behind one, you're always going to have to take an action in order to find them that is going to expose you to them. Some people will tell you to just grenade spots. Okay, if things start blowing up around you, what are you going to think? Somebody's here. If you try and circle the perimeter to try and flush them out, they're more than likely going to see you before you see them. And at the end of the day, everyone has their own way of trying to deal with attraction campers, so all I can do is give you mine. When moving to attraction, I try and keep in mind where I came from. My thought process is, if I didn't get shot on my way there, the camper more than likely didn't have an angle to either shoot me or one that he felt confident in taking the shot. From there, I would either put some hard cover or smoke between me and the angle I didn't come from. At that point, I would just do my best to listen for someone either readjusting to get an angle on me or hard pushing the cover or smoke to try and take me out before I leave. But what happens if the camper is just super patient and waits until he has a guaranteed shot on me? Then I'm probably dead, and it is what it is. There's a reason why most of the clips you see of attraction campers getting killed is because they were either in a super common spot that you can easily look out for, or because they shot too soon and they couldn't finish what they started. If an attraction camper is patient and creative, you are more than likely going to lose, and you'll just have to add that failure to your book of knowledge to counter it in the future. Especially in games like this that require you to run out in the open to even call attraction, and then it starts blaring out like it just got hit in the ankle by a scooter. At this point, I'm going to run back to where I came from like I talked about and put some hard cover between me and the angle I didn't come from. And at this point, I should have been listening out to see if anybody pushed me, but greed got the better of me. Guys, I'm not perfect, and nobody is either. But this time, it actually did slightly pay off, because it gave me a smoke grenade that I'm going to use to smoke out attraction so I can leave at least a little bit safer. And now, I'm going to leave you guys in some silence, because this is the anxiety that always comes with attraction.
Stand by for hatch. Stand by. Hatch open. Elevator's ready to go.
And pause. I need y'all to understand something. I could keep you here for 3 hours and go over all the stories and lessons I learned from DayZ to Tarkov to now. And even with all that experience, this still happens from time to time. It happens to me, it happens to your #1 streamer, and it happens to the #1 player in the world. And this time, it happened no less by someone wearing the starting outfit you get in this game, which tells me at a minimum, he is at least new to this game, and that means that could be you. Like I said before, don't let others' overconfidence fool you. You always have a chance, and others always have a chance against you. Now, whether it was due to him not having equipment he felt confident in, the smoke I found last minute cutting off his vision, or maybe Lady Luck was a good dancing partner this time around. He didn't shoot, and we both left together and made it home. And from this point, the cycle continues. You deposit what you found, you turn in your quest, you pick up the next one, you make a plan, you get your setup, you drop in, you try your best to complete it, then you leave. And once you get more comfortable, you can make your own objectives and grow in ways that you find fun to the playstyle you assume. Do you want to go straight PvP? Practice with the weapons that are available to you. Modify them with attachments, bring them to the firing range often, and keep going into hot zones so you can not only work on your weapon control, but your basic situational awareness. Do you want to focus more so on the PvE? Quests are perfect for you in game and there's no shortage of them, and a lot of these games have ways for players to avoid confrontation with other players or even outsmart them. A lot of these games also have marketplaces, where people will literally pay you to find items for them. So if you find yourself able to navigate the map easily and find valuable items, you might even get paid for being a little bit of a treasure hunter. It is my personal opinion that you go down both of these avenues. You don't want to be a PvP player that doesn't know how to make bandages from what's available in the map, just as you don't want to find a super valuable item but not know how to defend yourself when somebody comes around the corner. But at the end of the day, the choice is ultimately yours. There is no one right answer, only what is fun to you and what is effective to the playstyle you want to play. But I do hope at the very least this video has served as a good foundation for you to build those future skills off of. As I said before, I tried to make this the guide I needed all those years ago when I dropped into the beaches of DayZ and didn't even know the mindset I had to have when venturing into these type of games. And hopefully with this, you'll find yourself going from a new player to a pretty bad one. And then you'll go from a bad one to an alright one. And then one day, you may even find yourself in my shoes, trying to teach others how to play their first attraction shooter, telling them that this is your old friend. Because before I got here, this was my old friend. And if you've been patient enough to make it to this point of the video, I'd say you have a pretty good chance of getting there one day. So I have a challenge for you. Prove it.
Clip that! Xbox, clip that!